Hello and welcome to Adventure Life with Bob. Today we are heading from Dublin southwest to the town of Killarney, Ireland. And what a beautiful drive through some really beautiful little villages. Our first stop is at the Ross Castle, which is located in the Killarney National Park. This castle was likely built in the 15th century. Legend has it that the clan leader O'Donoghue still slumbers under the waters of the lake. Every 7 years, on the first morning of May, he arises on his magnificent white horse. If you manage to catch a glimpse of him, you will enjoy good fortune for the rest of your life. The Ross Castle was the last place in Munster to hold out against Cromwell in the Irish Confederate Wars. Its defenders, then led by Lord Muskerry, took confidence from a prophecy holding that the castle could only be taken by a ship. Knowing of the prophecy, the Cornwallian commander, General Ludlow, launched a large boat on the lake. When the defenders saw it, this hastened the surrender, and the prophecy was fulfilled. From Ross Castle, we took a boat ride over to an island called Innisfallen, where there is the remains of a monastery. This monastery, the original one, was built in the 7th century, although there's no remains of that one. These remains are from the 12th century. Also, during this 12th century, besides the monks, it was also used as a leper colony. Ireland has long been known as an island of saints and scholars. Innisfallen Monastery on the island here has played a part in establishing that reputation for learning, teaching, and religious devotion. The monastery was established here by the Faithlemen in the 17th century, and the famed Annals of Innisfallen were compiled and completed here by resident monks over the course of a few hundred years. And it is reputed that Brian Boru, a famous High King of Ireland, received his education here. It was fascinating to wander through the ruins. In this little chapel here, as you walk through, you see this stone cross. Apparently it was found in the lake and brought up and put here in the center of this ruin of this cathedral or chapel. Our next stop was the Muckross House near Killarney. This house was completed in 1843 for Henry Herbert and his wife Mary. It's situated close to the eastern shore of Muckross Lake, and it was designed by a well-known architect, William Byrne of Edinburgh. The Herbert family hosted the English Queen Victoria with members of her family at Muckross in August of 1861. Rumor has it that getting prepared for her stay all but bankrupt the family. By the end of the 19th century, the Herbert family was bankrupt. In 1911, the Muckross House was purchased by a wealthy American, William Bourne. He and his wife, Agnes, presented it as a wedding present to their daughter, Maud, and her husband. Maud died unexpectedly in 1929, and 3 years later, her husband and the parents presented Muckross House and the estate to the Irish nation, and it became the first national park in 1933. We ended our day with a drive over the Gap of Dunloe, which is one narrow little road, barely wide enough for a car, and it comes with many, many warning signs. This is the sign you see as you get ready to drive over the gap, and I'm not quite sure what all the warning signs mean, but I think it just means you got to be careful. This is a beautiful drive, but I mean, there's many ways to see this. you can do the what they call the jaunty car, which is basically a wagon pulled by a horse. You can walk it, you can bike it. Most places or websites that we looked said don't drive it during the middle of the day because it's so crowded. We also visited some sites that said, as you can see, we're trying to pass a horse here in a buggy. The guy gave us a dirty look. But as you get to the parking lot down below, you'll be stopped by a bunch of guys that run these horse and wagon deals. And he said, you can't go any further. This is as far as cars are allowed. Well, we have read that that's not true, that they will stop you and try and get you to pay for their little wagon ride, but it is legal to drive this road. And so I told him, no, you can go. And finally he said, only if you have a car or own a house up the road. And I said, no, that's not true, and you know it. And he just gave me a dirty look and walked away. So I don't know whether you should drive it or not. A lot of people do. You have to pay attention, and you do have to pass with care, and you got to be careful. There's a car coming the other way. You've got to look for a turnoff so you can get by. But it is drivable. It's not that bad. But there's a lot of people down below who run these, they call them jaunting cars, that are not very reputable, and they're just trying to scam the public. So be careful with that. I would recommend, if you are going to drive the Gap of Dunloe, that you check with the local folks, law enforcement or a local tour group, just to make sure they haven't changed the rules. But as of when we drove it, it was legal to take your car on the Gap of Dunloe. Dunloe Gap was really created and formed about 2 million years ago as ice and snow slowly pushed through the valley, giving the mountains their jagged appearance. But tourism really didn't start until the visit of Queen Victoria in 1861, which put Killarney on the tourist map. She stayed at the Muckross House, which we just talked about, toured the local areas with her ladies-in-waiting. The royal visit inspired other 19th century tourists, with famous visitors to the Gap of Dunloe, including romantic poet Alfred Lord Tennyson, Sir Walter Scott, and William Thackeray. Enthralled as they were by nature, they were captivated by the rugged wilderness of the Gap, its lakes, and its mountains. As an interesting side note, back when Queen Victoria visited the area, the Gap was known as the Valley of Echoes because of the way the sounds bounced against the towering mountain walls. It became a tradition to do what they called Wake the Valley by blowing a horn. I hope you liked our video of the Killarney, Ireland area. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and help us out and subscribe to Adventure Life with Bob. And hit the notification bell so that you are notified every time we post a new video. And don't forget, in December, we have an around the world cruise that we'll be taking. Thanks for watching.